If you're subscribed to Backyard Wisdom, you already know that our content goes beyond basic woodworking. Subscribers receive carefully researched ebooks, detailed videos showing real DIY timber projects built step by step, and exclusive material on wood and construction that is never published publicly. Today, we're going to dive into one of those often overlooked lessons from the past. A simple outdoor wood protection trick that countless modern DIYers ignore, yet has preserved timber for centuries. The reality is that most modern outdoor wood fails long before it should, not because of poor craftsmanship, but because of the methods we've forgotten. Timber is resilient, but it is not invincible. Left to the elements without thoughtful protection, even the strongest species, oak, chestnut or teak, will degrade. Many builders assume that modern sealants, paints or pressure treatments are the only ways to prevent rot. What they often overlook is how historical builders used environmental understanding, material behavior and subtle techniques to protect wood in ways that chemicals alone rarely achieve. This is not theory. It is a documented, centuries-long record, written into barns, bridges, fences, and homes that still stand today. Old builders observed that water is the true enemy of outdoor timber, but they also understood that how wood moves with moisture is just as critical. Wood is not a static material. It expands, contracts, and flexes depending on humidity and temperature. When timber absorbs water repeatedly and dries unevenly, it stresses along its grain, opens cracks, and, invites decay. Modern DIYers often overlook this basic truth. We seal, paint, or coat wood, yet we place boards where water pools, where the sun just cannot dry them, or where rain runs down directly onto joints. Historical craftsmen approached this differently. They did not fight wood's behavior with harsh chemicals alone. Instead, they guided it, encouraged it to dry naturally, and combined that understanding with subtle treatments that slowed decay before it even started. One of the most effective techniques they used was soaking and seasoning wood with natural oils or fats before installation. Long before synthetic preservatives existed, builders recognized that oils could penetrate timber fibers, fill microscopic pores, and create a barrier against moisture. Linseed oil tallow, or even pine resin, were commonly applied in multiple stages. But the key was not simply coating the surface, it was soaking the wood, sometimes for days or weeks, allowing the material to fully absorb these protective agents. This method strengthened the wood against swelling and shrinking, which in turn reduced cracking and minimized the exposure points where rot could begin. Modern DIYers frequently apply a brush-on finish or spray-on sealant, and while that provides temporary protection, it rarely penetrates more than the outer layer. In older structures that still stand, you'll find that timber treated with oils in this deeper, patient manner retains integrity decades longer than untreated or surface-only treated modern wood. Historical builders also controlled water movement at the installation stage, which is often ignored today. Think of a timber post in a garden fence or a beam supporting a porch, where modern construction might bury the post directly into soil or allow water to run down the sides unchecked. Old builders raised posts on stone piers, angled beams to shed rainwater, or provided small drip cuts to divert water away from joints. Every subtle adjustment was designed to prevent standing water. These practices are simple, often mechanical, but they reflect a deep understanding of cause and effect. Moisture trapped against wood guarantees decay over time. Even today, many DIYers focus on finishes but neglect drainage. The result is predictable failure, often within just a few years. The choice of timber species was not arbitrary. Historical craftsmen knew which trees naturally resisted decay and which would fail if placed outdoors without protection. Oak, chestnut, larch, and teak were favored in structures exposed to the elements because of their natural density, tannin content, and fiber structure. Builders also combined species strategically. A rot-resistant beam might, support a softer, more workable board, with the understanding that oiling and proper installation would protect the weaker wood. Today, DIYers often select wood-based solely on cost or availability, ignoring the natural properties that can either prolong or shorten a structure's lifespan. How wood joints were constructed mattered as much as the wood itself. Even the best timber will fail quickly if joints trap water. Mortise and tenon connections, overlapping laps, and angled cuts were designed to shed water rather than retain it. Builders also avoided horizontal grain at critical points, knowing that water follows the grain and accelerates decay in vulnerable areas. Modern construction sometimes prioritizes speed over understanding of moisture paths, leaving joints exposed or creating pockets where water collects. The lesson is clear. Durability is not just about material choice or surface treatment, it is about anticipating how timber interacts with its environment over decades, not months. Seasonality and timing played a role in protecting wood as well. Builders often harvested timber in winter when sap content was lower, reducing susceptibility to fungal attack. They dried beams slowly, sometimes for years, in well-ventilated sheds before installation. They respected that wood is a living material that responds to moisture content and environmental stress. Modern DIYers rarely consider these factors. Lumber comes pre-cut, pre-treated, and often installed immediately, sometimes while still holding moisture that will later escape, creating shrinkage cracks and internal stresses that hasten decay. Perhaps the most overlooked lesson is that preservation is cumulative, not instantaneous. No single oil, paint, or treatment guarantees longevity. Historical wood survived because multiple small measures were layered: selection of species, careful drying, strategic installation, joint design, and protective coatings. The results were not spectacular overnight. They manifested over decades, sometimes centuries. Modern DIY approaches often seek immediate solutions. A can of finish, a pressure-treated board, a quick coat of varnish. These may delay problems, but they rarely reproduce the resilience achieved through careful, layered, historical practice. Today's DIYers can learn from these principles, even without reverting to medieval methods entirely. Understanding timber behavior, how it absorbs water, how it flexes, how decay begins, is the foundation. Choosing the right species, preparing it properly with natural oils, paying attention to joints and water flow, and allowing the material to settle in place are all strategies that remain relevant. Even modest applications of these techniques can dramatically increase the lifespan of outdoor wood. These are not tricks or secrets. They are informed, patient practices that require observation, respect for material limits, and an appreciation of time. In the end, historical woodcraft offers more than survival tactics. It offers really a mindset. It reminds us that building with timber is a dialogue between human intention and natural behavior. When we neglect this dialogue, structures fail. But when we understand it, even simple outdoor projects can endure far longer than expected, often without reliance on synthetic chemicals or modern shortcuts. If you want to go deeper, our subscribers receive exclusive step-by-step demonstrations showing these techniques applied to real-world projects, along with carefully researched ebooks on timber behavior and historical methods. By learning from the past, we equip ourselves to make better decisions in the present. Understanding timber is not a luxury. It is essential knowledge for any builder, historian, or survivalist who wants structures that endure. It is, honestly, a conversation with the material itself, honed over centuries. If you want to continue exploring these techniques and insights, subscribe to our email list. You'll gain access to lessons and content that go beyond what appears in this video, content grounded in historical practice, material science, and real-world observation, all designed to help you make the most of the wood in your own backyard.